Old Mr. Hemlock lived alone in a house dwarfed by his sprawling, overgrown garden. For decades, he attended to its exotic, often unsettling, flora with a devotion that bordered on obsession. Locusts whispered about the garden, avoiding it, especially the enormous, crimson-petaled flower that grew in its very center, pulsating faintly, like a monstrous heart. Elara, a young botanist, came to Mr. Hemlock's door, captivated by rumors of his unique specimens. She was ambitious, perhaps too much so, eager to study plants that defied classification. Mr. Hemlock, a gaunt man with eyes like polished stones, initially refused her, but Elara's persistence, combined with her genuine knowledge, eventually wore him down. He allowed her to study his garden, but with one strict rule. "Never touch the crimson bloom," he rasped, gesturing towards the enormous flower. Never. And never stayed past sunset. Elara agreed, though her curiosity about the crimson bloom was immense. It was unlike anything she had ever seen. Its petals shimmered with an unnatural wetness, and a sweet, cloying scent, like decaying fruit and rich perfume, hung heavy around it. Strange, almost imperceptible veins pulsed beneath its surface. For weeks, Elara meticulously cataloged the garden's wonders, her scientific mind brimming with theories. She noticed that Mr. Hemlock always looked frail, almost sickly, but after tending to the crimson bloom, often spending hours near it, humming softly, he seemed to regain a fleeting vitality. He would then look at her with a peculiar, almost hungry glint in his eyes. One evening, lost in her notes, Elara failed to notice the sun dipping below the horizon until the garden was steeped in twilight. As the last light faded, the crimson bloom began to glow, a soft, internal luminescence that painted the surrounding foliage in eerie red hues. Its scent intensified, becoming intoxicating, drawing her closer. A strange, mesmerizing hum emanated from the flower. Elara felt an irresistible urge to touch it, to feel its moist petals against her skin. Mr. Hemlock's warning echoed in her mind, but it was a distant whisper against the bloom's hypnotic pull. She reached out, her fingers trembling. Just as she was about to make contact, Mr. Hemlock materialized from the shadows, his eyes wide with a desperate fear she hadn't seen before. "No," he croaked, his voice raw with terror. He grabbed her arm, his grip surprisingly strong, pulling her away from the flower. But it was too late. As he pulled her, her forearm brushed lightly against one of the bloom's glistening tendrils. A sharp, needle-like filament, almost invisible, pricked her skin. It was a fleeting sting, barely noticeable. Mr. Hemlock gasped, his face falling even further. He dragged her out of the garden, slamming the heavy wooden gate shut behind them. "You fool," he yelled, his voice trembling with a mixture of anger and despair. "You touched it. It has chosen you." Elara looked at her arm. There was a tiny red mark, no bigger than a pinprick. "What are you talking about?" she demanded. Shaken, he collapsed onto a stone bench, his frail body racked with tremors. "The bloom," he whispered, tears welling in his eyes. "It doesn't just grow, it feeds. It needs ... sustenance. Life," he explained. The crimson bloom was not a plant. It was a parasitic entity. It had found him decades ago. Sickly and weak, it offered him a choice. Become its gardener, feed it, and in return, it would grant him a fleeting, temporary vitality. But the price was constant, agonizing sacrifice. Each time it pulsed, it drew a piece of his life force, slowly draining him. He had found small animals, sometimes unwary travelers, to appease its hunger, to keep himself alive a little longer. "It took my wife, years ago," he confessed, his voice breaking. "She touched it. Who's like you? I tried to save her, but once it chooses, it binds. It drains you slowly, agonizingly, until there's nothing left but dry husks." Elara looked at her arm, then back at the pulsing crimson bloom in the distant garden, its soft red glow now seeming malevolent. Hungry, she felt a faint warmth spreading from the pinprick, a subtle tingling beneath her skin. "But what about you?" she asked, her voice a fragile whisper. Mr. Hemlock looked at her, a profound sorrow in his eyes. You brushed against it, he said. It has found a new gardener. My debt is almost paid. But yours has just begun. He stood up, his posture suddenly straighter, a faint flush returning to his gaunt cheeks. A terrifying, predatory glint appeared in his eyes, echoing the one she'd seen before. He turned and walked back towards the garden gate, his pace steady, almost eager. He glanced over his shoulder, a chilling smile on his lips. The bloom waits for its next meal, Elara, he said, his voice stronger now, almost vibrant. And so do I. Elara watched him go, then looked down at her arm. The warmth was growing. She felt a faint, delicious surge of energy, a fleeting sense of renewed vitality. But beneath it, a colder, deeper dread began to bloom, spreading like a parasitic vine through her very soul. The crimson bloom had chosen her, and the garden, with its monstrous heart, was finally ready for a new gardener. The gardener's blue